I'll tell you one thing about musicians, they all have a good heart. Okay. All these musicians have a good heart, and they know that the whole idea of the foundation is to help musicians, because we're a non-profit, we can send them to rehab and try to help them out. And especially after what happened with my son, you're always looking for something to do to try to help the situation, and this is something we came up with, and we're glad all you people are helping us do that. And I want to thank all these bands, half of them I've never even seen before. But Casey Sullivan put this all together. He knew everybody. And he put the whole thing together. And I'm telling you, there's lots of bands that play Sublime, but there's nobody that plays it as well as Burritos does. They not only get the song, they get the whole atmosphere, the excitement that Sublime was. So thank you all for coming, and I hope to see you the next time in case you put something together for us.
Shut up. How's it going, dude? Hey, man, what's up? Tell Todd he can turn the radio back on.
When it first happened, it was life-threatening. You know, I would rather have been dead. Even 15 years later, when I think about it, I still get emotional about it. But when it first happened, I couldn't talk about it like I'm talking about it now. If he hadn't left us a son, I would have really been in bad shape. He doesn't relate to being his father's son. He was 11 months old when his dad died. You know, it means nothing to him that Brad was his dad, because he never knew him. Sublime was always practicing in our garage, because of course they couldn't afford to practice anywhere else, you know, in high school and college, and the neighbors were always upset with me. Before they signed the record agreement, the first album they came out with, they did themselves. Michael Happelt was a student over at Dominguez Hills. He would take them over there when nobody else was using it, because they couldn't afford to hire, you know, you're supposed to pay rent. So they'd go over there at 2 o'clock in the morning and steal time from the, from the college there. And that's how they put together their 40 Ounces album. It's been amazing to me, it really has. I thought maybe when he died, I didn't think anything like this was going to happen. I thought maybe 2 years at the outside, and that'll be the end of it, and we'll just go on with our lives. No. But here we are 15 years later. But it's amazing how many people feel that the music has helped them out. A lot of people have lived longer but haven't made the impact, you know, that he made. Although I'd rather that he was just an accountant and he was still here, if I had a choice. Bud and Eric were at loose ends trying to put different bands together, and nothing really clicked. And then they decided, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago that maybe they'd like to go out as Sublime again and play a lot of the songs that they really never got to play that were on the self-titled album. And then about simultaneously, Eric was recording with one of his different projects, you know, at a sound studio over here, and Rome was there too. I think he's a good musician and a good singer, you know. Obviously he's not Brad, but then nobody else is. Some days I'm just so upset that he left, you know. If I had it all to do over again, I'd rather have Brad, you know, and not the music, you know. The music doesn't mean anything to me. It certainly hasn't replaced him. It's unquestionable that I'd rather have him here. And if he had never picked up a guitar, that would have been fine with me.
You know, when we lost Brad, and other people, I was just talking to somebody there today over at the community center, and she'd lost her son like 11 years ago or something. And everybody wants to do something to try to put some meaning into the loss of their child, you know. And so this is what we're trying to do, to help musicians with Bradley's House and a nonprofit recovery program for them. What we went through with Brad and it makes me so proud that Jake is able to do it, because with Brad, it's not that we didn't put him in recovery. It's not that he didn't recover. He just always went back to the music. And I would always plead with him, don't go back to that damn band, you know, because that's where your problems are, because, you know, everybody wants to party with you, you know, you go down for sound check and then you sit around for 3 or 4 hours till you go on, and everybody wants to party with you, so they bring the booze and the drugs. Brad's audience were skateboarders and surfers, so they're already a little bit loopy, you know, and they have a proclivity for drug and alcohol use, right? I'm not telling anything out of school here.
No, I
It's
get
true.
it.
So, and I asked him, I said, well, why are you doing all this, and why are you taking those drugs, and why do you drink so much and do these crazy interviews and this kind of stuff? And he says, well, they expect me to be the leader, you know, and I have to set an example, and I have to be larger than life. But I keep comparing him with his father, unfortunately, you know. But
That's a given.
but and we wanted to obviously get his father into a 12-step program, but he wouldn't go for it. But when he got out he was a real good student, and he went up to UC Santa Cruz for his first couple of years. And then they always talk about philosophy, but they don't really talk about religion, you know. So you get, and when he came back to Long Beach State, where Jake is a junior right now. And I said, well, why'd you come back? And he said, well, you know, they're all up there talking about these great problems, you know, what's life about and what's all this? And he said, but no, they don't have any answers. And I said, well, you know, maybe a 12-step program would be the answer, but he just he couldn't do it. He couldn't surrender himself to a greater power, you know. And that's what Jake has been able to do. So he's much stronger than his father ever was. We're lucky that people you know, pay attention to us a little bit, but the only reason they do is because of Brad, of course, and now because of him, you know. So it's it's working out, you know.
Exactly what I was saying. We get this unique platform.
And Jake
so many
goes
people
around.
wanna-
Jake goes around and plays at different recovery and hospital and stuff. Does acoustic stuff for those people, and I mean, he's really putting it in there. It was Todd Zulkins that came up with the idea of Bradley's House, opening our own recovery house. My wife, Janie, she goes down a couple days a week to the Long Beach Rescue Mission and volunteers down there. And actually, she sews for them. She brings her sewing machine and mends all their
She
clothes.
sews,
Yeah. And they've got about 100 guys at the men's mission and a bunch more at the ladies' mission across the street. It's
see
guys
that.
like Jake at his age and the success he's had at music that the people who are thinking about recovery can look at him and say, well, that's a pretty cool guy. Well, Bradley Knoll is, of course, my only son, was my only son. He was born here in Long Beach. When we had family parties, somebody would play the piano and somebody would play the gut bucket, which they use for bass, and a lot of people would play their guitars, and there was singing. Somewhere along the line, Brad said, I'd like to learn how to do that too. So at 8 years old, we gave him a guitar and taught him 3 chords. You know, the basic CFG. Anyway, that's all it took. Of course, he surpassed everybody in his musical skills, and he just loved to play. He was writing the music and singing it, and he wanted to have people to perform to, you know, and that was the most important thing in his life. You know, I didn't know that Sublime was going to appeal to so many people. Pretty soon it got to the point where the music was more important than anything else. I remember asking him, I said, you know, why are you doing this, you know? Everybody expects me to be larger than life, is what he said. And I have to be the leader, and if I'm the leader, then I'm the one that has to try the most hardcore drugs. And I think I can do it, and I think I can handle it, and I won't get hooked. Well, he seemed like a pretty happy kid to me. He did all the things that most middle-class kids do, you know. Surfed and took him out skiing and did a lot of boating and a lot of sailing and cruising and that sort of thing, sailboat racing. And when our families would get together and have a family party, we'd always bring out the guitars and everybody would play. My dad would play, and all his brothers would play, and my grandparents would play. And so when he got old enough, of course, he wanted to learn a few chords, so we taught him a few chords so he could play along with us. And then he kind of took it from there. We made one trip down to the Caribbean in '79 and went sailing down there with a bunch of guys who rented a sailboat down there and sailed around. That was just before Marley died, and of course he was real big down there. We went to a couple native jump ups and that kind of stuff on those islands, you know, where we were the only people there that didn't live there, you know. And he came back with a real appreciation of reggae after that. felt to be a rock star, you had to live larger than life, quote unquote. He grew up amongst kids who were achieving things and knew they had someplace to go. And it still wasn't enough. And I felt that, like a lot of people feel that you can get something done in life if you spend enough time and money at it, you can cure it. So that was my initial reaction. Let's put in the time and let's spend the money and let's get him rehabbed and let's get this taken care of. And he sat in the kitchen here and hugged me and said, I'm so sorry, I don't want you to be disappointed in me and all that. And I told him, I said, I've never been disappointed in you, but I'm deathly afraid of what you're doing. What do you want to do? More of this?
Jim Knowles says he knew that someday his worst fears would come true. He believes that Troy's tireless love and commitment to Brad was, at times, the only thing keeping his son alive, and that ultimately it was up to Brad whether he would live or die.
I told my wife, I said, we can spend every night crying ourselves to sleep, and it's going to ruin us, or we can just accept the fact that we only have so much control over this situation, and what it's going to be is going to be. But still, it doesn't prepare you for it.
And when Lou Dog died of old age in the fall of 2001, Brad's family made sure they were reunited by scattering Louie's ashes in the same spot they had scattered Brad's.
It was Jake actually who called me up and told me that Lou died. And he said he's gone to heaven to be with his dad. He has no conscious memory of having had a dad, but he knows that most people have a dad and he doesn't. So he understands that he's lost something.
But Jacob does have the music his father left behind.
Life is too short, so love the one you got, 'cause you might get run over.
By the rivers of Babylon, where we sat down, and there we wept, when we remembered Zion. 'Cause the wicked carried us away, captivity then required of us a song. How shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? 'Cause the wicked carried us away, captivity then required of us a song. Now how shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? Rivers of Babylon, where we sat down, and there we wept, when we remembered Zion. By the rivers of Babylon, where we sat down, and there we wept, when we remembered Zion. 'Cause the wicked carried us away, captivity and required of us a song. How shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land?
So let the words of our mouths sing it, and the meditation of our hearts be acceptable in thy sight. Everybody now. Oh, right. Let's pick it up. We sat down, and there he went, and he remembered carried us away, captivity Everybody give it up for Roger Gibson. Alright, here we go. So that it works all our mouths and the meditation all our mouths. Each and nobody in my side. I need to hear everybody now. We love you guys. Thanks for having us on. We love you from all sides.
So what do you got there?
Yeah, some loose trash, cigarette butts, the occasional roach or two.
Okay. And you're probably wondering where Lou Dog is. Lou Dog is right where your foot was. Mimi and I came here on a surreptitious evening
Did you?
and dug a little hole here with a spade and put Lou's ashes in there.
Really?
How about that, huh?
Perfect spot for it.
Where it says remember everything, that was your mother's idea. I guess that was something between the two of them, you know, they'd always say
That's sweet.
remember and the other would say everything. So
That's sweet.
I think traveling was tough, often
Yeah.
really tough for him.
I can see that.
And he missed you and he missed his wife. And
well, that day, Janie and I were in her church over on the west side of Long Beach, and they're having a wedding. And so we're sitting in the pew, and I picked up the hymnal, and I started reading Amazing Grace. You know, memorized it. Came in handy, you know. Yeah, you never know.
yeah, I remember you sang that quite well at his service.
Yeah, I couldn't believe I had it memorized.
Yeah.
All ready to go.
People in the world grow up without dads all the time, but it, you know, at the same time, like I was fortunate enough to have my dad's presence be a waking part in every aspect of my life. Well, it sure is nice to come and visit.
Yeah, it is.
Love you guys.
We're doing
Love
okay,
you too.
buddy. Love you too, man. Love you too.
Oh, well.
We're doing okay, buddy. We're doing all right.